Never met this man before in my entire life, and I want to shake his hand.
Yes, sir.
The reason being, yes, I'm 54 years old, and you've taught me more in 3 hours than I've learned in 54 years. Wow.
Troy Richards. I'm originally born in Jamaica, but now living between the UK and the US. I'm an accountant by profession, but I studied quite a bit on 16th century history. So I've just done a tour around Queen Elizabeth I, Sir Francis Drake, the first Englishman to circumnavigate the world, and sort of intertwine that with our current society that we live in. So a little bit about London, maritime England, and how England came about having its wealth. Sports, and he's the Arts Council for Arts Council's original form from what's called an MLA, Museum Library Archives. And a guy there many years when I just started. The chair for the MLA is now in New Zealand. I came across him and he said, hey, you know, you got an interesting story there, let me try and help you. In fact, I maybe start a little bit earlier. So I came from Jamaica in 1997. My story is that my mom left Jamaica and came because her dad is British, and she came back to live with him here. And I stayed in Jamaica with my grandmother, so I didn't really know my mom that well. And I really grew up with my grandmother. This guy called me all the time, Troy, I've got all these things, Drake's, you know, he has Drake's Bay. In San Francisco, they do a lot of Drake's Hotel. And so people are walking on the beach and say they found a rock that belongs to Drake. It's crazy, like it blow your mind. Yeah, so I met this guy, apparently his name is Mr. Eccleston, and he's the one that apparently invented the name icicle for icicle that we suck from his name, and he did invent it. It's not apparently he did invent it. But anyhow, he was into Drake. I mean, I went to this guy's house. If you think of that being his garage, in archives, and we would never see them. So now, I mean, Museum of London documents, you know, closed. They've closed the one in Barbican as well, and they're now building one just right there. Yes, right there. Yeah, it's almost 300 million. And they're spending on it. It goes underground and it's going to rise through the sky. Yeah.
It's the underground and it's blowing my mind.
Yeah, 1,000 square feet. Our museum's 155,000 square feet looking to build. And in building it, some of you have seen it, is to build it in virtual reality, which I'm training schools now, going to schools. I go to university, I work at South Bank, I work at University of West Indies, Emory in America, quite a few globally. We've got some in Africa. And the idea is that we teach them how to curate, how to exhibit. We do the fundraising amongst ourselves, which is £10 a month for just 1 year. So it's £120 from 500 individuals, 5,000 individuals. 500,000 individuals. And that will build the first museum, give us half 4 million in profit. We use it and build the next one and so forth in all the major cities. Ideally, we're trying to get them there across the continent. So that's the sort of strategy that we have during that period, because it wasn't just the human trafficking, but it's everything you can think of. It's inside there. I went to Charlton Football Club yesterday, they have a museum. Yes, as much as Charlton have a museum, right? A lot of it is underground. All of this is everything you can think of. A museum of our history, our artifacts, our collections, everything. Every one of those buildings I can guarantee you will have underground spaces, and there are buildings built underneath that you don't know about. You haven't got a clue. The British Library you can see, it is 5 times
that's
deeper.
right. That's right. And the British Museum again, it goes from underground from the British Museum all the way to Euston Station.
Exactly.
That's how much is
big
underground.
It's
It's like what's in the museum is like 5% of what they actually own.
Are you serious?
Yes. So you can go, you know, to the British Museum, like Tottenham Court Road, and you go under the ground. You can walk through the underground thing to Euston.
So in your lifetime, just how this is relevant to you in your lifetime, you won't even understand less than 1% of what they have. This is so when you see museums and now you see it, you see the adverts on the Nike, you see the corporates that publicize, you see the Lloyds of all of these guys, they will say, yeah, we're doing this as we tell our history, they talk about diversity, all this information. They're not even touching the level of it because that history is far deeper. If you were to get access to that, you will understand your history. And that's what I've come to. I've seen it. I haven't gone through everything, but I've seen it.
So I'm still a slave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they don't want you to know. The World Bank, all these places, they have tons and tons because the ships brought back people, but it brought back a story.
Yeah.
And that is a story I come to realize that we were. And these organizations say, oh, we want to do this, we want to tell it, but they won't tell it. I guarantee you. They won't tell it. So it's the onus now is on us, it's on that we have to, and that's where, so when I started that, and that's why I'm saying my journey, the ship set sail in 1577, I come to learn, my birthday is the 1st of January the 5th, 1977. So I feel like I was predestined. I was predestined for this thing. Yeah, I didn't realize until well in anyhow, but I see I was telling that story, I can see the connection, and then I can see the issues that we're dealing with, and those guys have control. I said they'll have you by the balls. Yeah. They're going to talk about balls. Yeah. Prostate cancer, they have you by the balls. And so I said, all right, I worked this idea of building our own museum. And that it. Yes.
Bureaucratically to dispossess and then take your crest.
Exactly.
And then use your crest to say, I've done all of this in your honor.
Yes, exactly.
Did you learn to read?
Drake could read and write in the Spanish Inquisition and so forth, what they were doing. So it was, imagine this influx of funds, investment from corporations into the maritime area, and that changed Britain.
Is that what the song called
Yes.
Fantastic discovery for the gentleman called Troy, who shared with us about the information around the city of London and wealth and Drake and slavery, and some of it is really depressing actually, and some of it shows the resilience of so many different people.
Just had my mind blown by the brother Troy Richards, who's just taken us along the River Thames, giving us a deep history of the River Thames, of the City of London from the period of Francis Drake. And what I love is that he's made direct connections to 1577 to 2021. It's all connected. History is a living, breathing thing.
First, we were introduced to a guy by the name of Troy Richards to be exact. He took us on a journey of his life story, things that he's accomplished, things he's in the process of doing now. And believe you me, all of us were just blown away. And I thought I knew some of London, but the information that was given to us today from this brother out of this world.
Had a nice tour guide by a guy named of Troy Richardson, and I'm telling you, to find out that a black man, a West Indian, saving British history. We have so much history under our feet.
Today, I've got a lot of thinking to do about the things I heard today, and yeah, kind of like that. I felt like I've been walking through here blind, and I've just kind of it's been opened up. A lot of it's been opened up.
Today was fantastic. I felt very inspired. We've had Troy Richards giving a talk about his relationship with the Golden Hind and the City of London, and we delved into how slavery impacted the wealth of the city.
It's autumn. Hi, Aki back. So I'm back at my university, which, funny enough, is the set for Bridgerton. Actually, my classroom is one of the main sets for Bridgerton. So you can see that how I'm recording from the set of Bridgerton. But talking about education, I recently went to our Men Walk and Talk group, and we had someone who spoke about reparations and how they receive reparations. Now, before I go into that, I decided to revisit last year, where I went on a tour with a guy called Troy Richards around the city of London, around the Golden Hind. Now, the Golden Hind, for those of you who don't know, you can look it up. It's actually a replica of the original boat, and it's actually in nearby markets just off the river, and it is a tourist attraction. Now, the Golden Hind is British history. It's celebrated, and the captain, Sir Francis Drake, is celebrated. Now, what are you celebrating for? Actually, it's enslavement in the 16th century. So he is apparently the first person to circumnavigate the globe and, opening the slave trade. But the reality is, no, he was not the first person to do it. He was taught basically by the Maroons the routes and how to do it. He had no clue how to do it. People tried in the past and they failed. He was also famous for actually stealing enslaved people from the Spanish piracy. To the pirates. But he did it for Queen and Country. He was knighted, and of course a lot of money and wealth came to this country. Now, that money and wealth is in the city of London, and now they're looking to pay some reparations from it. Now, to go more into Troy Richards, who did a tour, Troy Richards actually saved the replica of the Golden Hind and made it. He's a curator, and he made it a tourist attraction. Now, it was up for bid, and apparently some American, I'm not sure, the company or private buyer was going to take it. Now, what he did, he set up a charity and he saved the ship to stay here. And the reason is because he did a lot of research behind it, and there's a lot of history, our history, black people history, around slavery, and that's why he worked hard to keep the ship here. So yes, a black West Indian went and saved that ship, and it's there for you to go and visit. Now, what he's also doing, which is quite interesting, and I hope that we are given the opportunity to have this place. He's working hard on opening a black museum. It'll be the first, black museum I ever heard of in the UK. Now, the reparation money, he's hoping to get some from it to open up a museum, and also a virtual museum so that schools can learn and so forth. Now, apparently, what you see in the museum, in the British Museum, all these African artifacts, is only about, I think, 5% of what's really there. So apparently there's floors below the museum and tunnels that are filled with all these artifacts. Absolutely filled, thousands, they're filled with it. So he's asking or requesting that with the reparations money, we have a museum, and we take out another small percentage to fit that museum. And this is the thing, that how if even 3 to 5% of that is going to fill up the whole museum, you can imagine how much artifacts are below the city. That's the interesting thing. But I'm hoping that he does get through it. I'm hoping that they do give us that museum. They do give us that money to have that museum so we can teach, the coming generation about our ancestors, our, history and that kind of stuff. So the next time you go to the Golden Hind, ask, read up, and just know about our history, how we became enslaved, and all that kind of stuff. And trust me, the tour he did, it was fantastic. It's deep, and it's so much I can't even go into it. My mind was blown. And just alone, just things around the city of London. For example, and this is one thing, do you know that there's a clause with some families when there was reparations given to these slave owners, that when the Abolish Act came in for slavery, one of the causes for some of these families was that their children are entitled to university, they're entitled to scholarships. Yeah. So himself like me, if I fail my studies, I cannot go to university, which I am in now, and I'm gonna say, I work hard to be here. I work hard to be in this university and to have my place here. But if I was in the right family with those clauses, I get automatic enrollment anyway. I get my place anyway. I will be in university, Oxford University. But that's the clause, with these families and all the money in the city of London. Yeah. Yes. There's something to think about when you're in the city of London, and to know that the city of London is actually built on slavery, and there's a lot of money in there. And maybe this should put some in my pocket. And what would happen if we all get our reparations money? Let's say each one of us, our bank accounts was filled with all this money from reparations. What would we do with it? Would you waste it? Go buy new clothes, buy a new car, buy a new house? What would you do with it? Or should we invest that money that will actually benefit the community? You know what? Put in the comments if you had a choice or a vote on where the money should go. What would you do? Do you want the money to yourself? Do you want your share? Or should we invest it in the community? I don't know. Let me know. I'll see you the next time and the next one. So yeah, bless up, peace, all that jazz, and so forth. And always educate yourself. Don't stop learning. Laters.